प्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक् प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमेन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, mind, the sensory and motor organs and the life force become perfected and efficient. All is verily the one without second, absolute, blissful existence, pervading every nook and corner. Let me never deny this truth of oneness. May this truth never reject me either. Let all the virtues necessary to experience this truth in life be with me. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us feel we are like ice cubes put in the ocean. Our forms and the names associated with the forms are dissolving. To reach the essential true nature of ours, in which we are the infinite one. I am that reality. Gone. All limitations. There is no time or space. The illusion of time and space is gone. the fictitious line dividing I and world has disappeared. I see I am the light of consciousness itself. I have no desire for I am all that is. I am bliss itself. Beyond possibility of slightest suffering. All the different names and forms appear and disappear in me. Like the waves on the ocean. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin the 22nd class of this very important Upanishad, which is one of the modern Upanishads. And modern means, I mean, not that post-World War, or it is modern means still about 2000 years ago. So it is, and it covers most of the, or in fact all the important topics of Vedanta, about the goal, about the means, various difficulties that spring up as we move towards the goal, how to get over them. And so this Upanishad is one of the uh, most important studies in Vedanta, Svetasvatara Upanishad, especially as Swami Vivekananda mentions in Jnana Yoga that this Upanishad describes the idea of Maya most beautifully and in a very developed way. So let us begin with our prayers. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we be protected together. May we be nourished together. May we attain strength together. May our study make us illumined. May there be no dislike between us. Om, peace, peace, peace. So may our study make us illumined. The study, as we take this knowledge inside, our lives get illumined. Exactly like the electricity entering these bulbs that makes those bulbs illumined. When you switch the power off, they won't look illumined like this. So similarly, our lives, because of the lack of this light of knowledge, is darkened life. So, therefore, when this knowledge that we study, the study brings some knowledge. But many times the study just remains outside, I mean in the brain. It is just limited to conceptual understanding, that's all. It does not enter our life. So, it does not illumine life. In fact, it adds to the illusion that happens with many scholars that yes, I know, I have studied, I understand all Vedanta, I can argue all points in Vedanta, I can give many lectures. Well, this inflated ego darkens the lives further. So therefore this prayer, that let this knowledge enter in me, illuminating it. Let our lives become illuminated. Otherwise, this knowledge is of no use. It is, this prayer is important in many ways because we tend to think that lot of reading is going to make us a person of knowledge. And there is a very beautiful couplet by a great Sufi sage in India, Kabir. Kabir said that nobody becomes really a wise person by reading a lot of books, but the one who reads a letter of love properly, that person becomes really wise. पोथी पढ़ी पढ़ी जगमुआ पंडित भया न कोय, ढाई अक्षर प्रेम का पढ़े सो पंडित होय. So therefore, as it enters, then our lives become illumined and joyous life. All the phenomena that we see, its reality vanishes. It all becomes as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, they play of joy. Everything, all that happens, good things, bad things, they all appear as part of the play. He used to compare the bookish study that people read a lot, become scholars, they get lot of fame as scholars. But as you all must have seen, that the life is just involved only in sensual pleasures, running after that and dealing with the frustrations that come as a result of it. It is, he would compare that analogy is really very telling analogy, that look, the vultures, they fly high up in the skies. I don't know any of you have seen those creatures here. That I didn't find any in Providence area. That, but I used to see them in my childhood, that fly really high. You have to see, and they appear like small dots. When they come down, and then you see how big they are in size. So they fly very high, but their sight is always on the ground, looking for a rotting carrion which they can just swoop on and start having the feast. So the big scholars, in spite of lot of scholasticity, lot of learning, lot of honors in the different circles, and very prestigious these awards and rewards, still the life is all caught in looking for money, looking for sensual pleasures and all the adjuncts of it, jealousy, hatred, all the bad feelings. If you look into any, have a peep in the university area, you will see people with very great intellects. And even in this department of religious studies, you will see that they have mastered so many books. And the books, they are great books. I mean, like the Upanishads and all the commentaries and the yoga aphorisms, and they write many treatises on that. But it is all jealousy, that why he got that award by cheating actually. It should have come to me. Well, why are you worried? You are talking that it is all illusory and all that. So why now you are concerned? It is. So therefore, this part is very important. Let us study this for illumination. So, last time we were studying this verse, we actually studied that it is a process of deepening meditation that one has to undertake. The prayers are important, but in addition to that, in fact, the purport of the prayer is to go deep into this practice of meditation, which means transcendence. Go on further and further. Go to the more important, or let us say the higher and higher regions of awareness. So that is what this verse said, that tata param brahma param brihantam yatha nikayam sarvabhuteshu gudham vishwasyekam pariveštitaram isham tam jnatva amrita bhavanti. This is, we saw this last time. One word that I missed while deliberating on this, higher than this personal Brahman is the infinite supreme Brahman, who is concealed in all beings according to their bodies, and who, though remaining single, envelops the whole universe. Knowing him to be the Lord, one becomes immortal. The personal Brahman to whom we offer prayers. Now that is very good, but one has to transcend that, transcend the limitations of name, form, qualities and attributes, that the God is like this and like this, and God should be doing like this and like this. That is all personal God, our ideas about God. And therefore it gives rise to my particularized God, who would be different from somebody else's idea of God. So the two personal gods will not be same. It is the ideas of every individual differ. Like you have the ocean, and then you take water in your jar or your cup or in your just palm pit. Take all that. Now these different shapes are there, different sizes, their capacities. According to that, they each of them have the ocean in their palm, or in their jar, or in their glass. So that infinite divine principle, our intellects, our minds, our receiving capabilities are like those different pots. They are different. And so when we think through that, it is, we see that this is the ocean. It is true and not true, both. It is true because that is the only way you can feel that ocean. The problem is when we limit it, that this is the only thing, beyond that there is no ocean. This is where the problem comes. And then that stunts our progress further. Impersonal divine principle has to be felt gradually in our consciousness. We have to soar to that level. This is called the transcendence. In meditation, the idea is this transcendence, and with that, along with that is the idea of transcendental immanence. That it is, while we transcend the names and forms, a mistake that we make often is that God is beyond all names and forms, and gives us the idea of beyond, here is the river, and then we walk when on the Angel Street, when we go towards downtown, we see that this is the river, beyond the river is the State House. River, and beyond that river is the State House. Now when we think of this transcendental divine, okay, so here are the names and forms, and beyond that is the divine. So unconsciously we make up a partition in it, that this world, and then beyond this world somewhere. That is how the idea that many get about heaven or such place. In Hindus also many such things are there. Vaikuntha Loka and Kailasa and whatever, that abode. This is the world, and then this remains as it is. Then we cross over, and then I then enter into that realm. this is not what is being meant here. And this transcendence is like this idea that reaching the screen in the movie that you see, you have to transcend the pictures that you see to get to the screen. Now the screen and the pictures are here and the screen is there, not like that. The screen is the reality of all pictures as well. The pictures do not have any separate reality. Not that you leave the world here and then take your individuality as it were with you. Like a traveler, I am crossing the river to go to the state house. Yeah, I am at this crossing the North Main Street, then I see the river there, and then I cross that river and then go to the state house. So it appears to be something like this, that I am so and so, that identity is held on to. I am Swami in Providence, and this is, I was born on this and this date, I did such and such things in my life, and now I am transcending and becoming one with that God. I am transcending this universe here. So the universe remains here and the God there. No, this universe is an illusory appearance on that divine. And it is, if we do not get this understanding, there will be no real transcendence at all, because in our awareness, this universe will still be there. It is there. We will be casting glances. Okay, this is what I gave up. I transcended. But then there will be the idea that I can go back there. It is that it in our awareness will have an existence. No, that is not what Vedanta is bringing to our understanding, that this world is an appearance. The familiar Vedanta example that I had not used for a long time, the rope and the snake. That when you see a snake where actually there is the rope, and then when you go to that rope, you have to transcend this snake, the apparent snake. But that doesn't mean then you take the snake out and put in your pocket or kill it or throw it and then get the rope. Now here is the snake lying and here is the rope. Not in that sense. That very rope, without any change in it, was appearing as the snake. So that divine alone, without any change, was appearing this world. As Swami Vivekananda says, that do not seek God, just see the God. Seeking is, relatively it is all right to use the word seeking, but one must understand that seeking means not that in some corner it is hidden, but it is this whole thing that you are mistakenly seeing as I and the world. That as that illusion disappears, you see the divine. So this is being told as the practice. In our meditation, let this awareness be put into practice. It is very important to take this step. This requires a big daring to take up this step. And that is, and because we want this world, let my joys, sorrows, all that I do here, let this remain intact. Yes, I have plans here, I mean. Uh, After this month, I have to do all this, and then after that, I am going to Africa. After that, I am going to Russia, whatever, So, we want to hold on to that. And then in that somewhere there is the God, that I am not going to give up that. I want both this God and this world. Like people who do say two jobs, this job and that job, both. When once to one devotee, I was in my uh, excellent melodious voice, I was showing him some tune. This is how the tune should be. He drew a deep breath and said, Swami, you keep your day job for now. So it is very interesting. So it is. So I have one day job and then a night job. So it is like that. That it is this thing and that thing. I will hold on to this world and that. This kind of compromising attitude, our ignorance makes us develop. And then we think, I am meditating, I meditate, but then my meditation is over. What I meditate in with that, I don't know. But then I am again after the pursuit of these names and forms in the world. This is something that should not be the practice of proper meditation. There should be the transcendence with the associated corresponding immanence, and that is why here it is said, Yatha Nikayam Sarvabhuteshu Gudha. The translation is, who is concealed in all beings according to their bodies. According to their bodies. Just think of what we were meditating earlier, that very substance is in all ice cubes according to their shapes. Those shapes do not hurt the basic substance at all. That substance remains intact without any change. Water does not undergo any change when it appears in various shapes. It is similarly that divine appearing in all these forms does not undergo any change whatsoever. It is not easy to give examples or analogies. That is why various analogies are used to give an idea, because every analogy will have some defect or the other. So, therefore, sometimes the ocean and the waves, that analogy is given. But then people think it, we think that, well, so there needs to be some other agency to make the ocean get waves. What is that agency? Like the moon, attraction of moon that makes the waves they happen. So that is not the idea there. That is, so the analogies need not be stressed too much. So therefore another analogy is given, but every analogy will have some problem or other. So this is Yatha Nikayam Sarva Bhuteshu Gudham. As the different shapes, that very thing appears here in this form of the chair, and that very appears here in the form of this table. that very thing appears as a pillar here without any change, like the one electricity in different instruments as it enters, it takes different shapes. Here it takes the shape of a globe. There, when it goes in the computers, it takes the shape of these various processes that go on in the computer. In this, it takes the shape of, say, the sound in this microphone. It gets converted according to that without any change in it. It is according to the nature, the shape of that you know, being that functions through that. So, this is yatha nikayam sarva bhuteshu gudham. So, the expressions are different. That difference in the expression is to be remembered, and that the expressions will be different, like the power, electricity expresses itself like this light when it enters this instrument. When it enters in the refrigerator, it is generating cold there. When it is put in the heater, that very thing appears as heat. So, all these different instruments and different what one should say, different receptacles. In those different receptacles, that very divine expresses itself in various different forms. So, yatha nikayam sarva bhuteshu, without exception. Not that somebody is evil, God cannot be in that. No, God there is also the same divine expressing itself in some respects you may call it an evil thing. But evil, good, all are these relative entities. They are filled with the same one without second reality. This is to be felt, that this is all vibrating, pulsating with the same divine principle. When we look at the life of Sri Ramakrishna, it becomes so palpably obvious that he is seeing everything as a manifestation of that same one divine principle whom he used to refer as the Divine Mother. That mother is appearing as a very pious lady and is appearing also as a prostitute. He had absolutely no idea that, well, there it is somebody else. In whatever form, in a dog he would see that same thing. In everything there is no wicked in that sense that devoid of God. No, God is in everything. So this is the process of transcendence. Last time we had seen this picture from Richard Bach's celebrated small story, very inspiring, that Jonathan Livingston Seagull, the idea there expressed was keep on transcending, keep on transcending. Do not stop, as Swami Vivekananda mentions, stop not where till the goal is reached. You might have progressed a lot, but remember, you have to go further. And this warning is necessary in practical psychology. What happens is, when you make some progress, then you feel, okay, now I am entitled to have a break. Now I can relax. Uh, yes, because look at those other creatures in the world, they don't do anything. Look at me, I am Swami and I have done all this, I do this spiritual practice and I have done all that. So now I am at a very high level. It takes a jiffy to fall to the lowest abyss. It is so. One has to keep up this spirit of transcendence. Never think till you reach the goal. Never stop. It is otherwise you relax, stop. That happens, the race between a hare and a tortoise. That the hare went ahead, thought that now he is secured, he has almost won the race. But no, that turtle goes ahead and wins, you see. So, therefore, we must be careful not to stop, not to relax or be lax about our spiritual practice, about this practice of transcendence till we reach the goal. It is, then this is a very famous verse quoted by Swami Vivekananda in Parliament of Religions, and this comes not only here, it comes in Purusha Suktam, in other Upanishadic texts as well. Vedahametam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasah parastat tameva viditvati mrityumeti nanya pantha vidyate yanaya. That I have realized this great being who shines effulgent like the sun beyond all darkness. One passes beyond death only on realizing him. There is no other way of escape from the circle of birth and deaths. An important theme in the Vedantic text is this becoming free of this cycle of birth and death, which really symbolizes all the bondage that we are in, that every action has a consequence, and that consequence becomes the next action, which again will have its consequence. So this is the cycle which gives rise to birth. And then as if you are born, you have to die. And when you die, there is so much of karma, all those actions that you have done, they are accumulated, they have to produce their result. So you are born again. And then again you do these works again. It is all a cyclic motion. A circular road never ends, you see. It never comes to an end. You keep on doing the same thing, life after life. This life I did this, next life again I will do all similar things. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Again and again, this is a very famous verse of Shankaracharya, that you get born, you come out of the womb, and then again you die, punarapi, again and again, go through the same endless cycles, because we do not know the truth. When you know the truth, now no birth and death. It is no karma. All the karma, all these unfulfilled desires and actions and all vanishes with knowledge. So, that knowledge means seeing the nature of the self. That is why that being is called. It is that great being who is of the effulgence, that's all. There is no particularized form there. That being, let us not think of the being as one. This kind of, you see, the mistake happens. Purusham, the word Purusha in Sanskrit has a connotation of being a man. So it will have a shape of a man, not woman, and so forth, you see. But it doesn't mean any such thing here. It means the indwelling reality. That is the meaning of Purusha, the one who resides in this city of body. The idea is really very sublime. Purusha, Purishayanat iti Purusha, this body and the subtle body, they are like the city. Like I live in the city of Providence. So all of us live in the city called body. It is like that. So this body is, this universe is the body really. It is, one has to see the body is not limited to these 3 cubits of flesh, blood and all that. But everything that I see, perceive, that also is part of the body. You can easily understand this. Where is this universe? It is part of me, part of this body actually, because it is in the brain. All this is in the brain. No brain, no this perception. The universe is gone. When the brain, it is all the sensation in the brain that is this universe. It is part of this body really. This body means, doesn't mean this particular flesh and blood and all that, but that which, everything that goes with it. And then that has its subtle aspect, subtle body. That also is the body. So in that, who dwells? Who dwells in everything that I see, I feel, that reality. So that being which is of the nature of pure effulgence, it is that effulgence, and that is independent. That effulgence is not a borrowed effulgence. This is, it is self-effulgent. That is the only thing that is self-effulgent. Everything else has a borrowed existence, borrowed effulgence. There is this discussion in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, a very sublime, very poetic discussion. That question is asked there, that in what light do we see? And the sage Yajnavalkya replies, well, in the light of the sun that we see. What happens when the sun sets? Then in what light do we see? Well, we may see in the light of the moon. If moon is also not shining at that time, what light? Maybe the light of stars. If the stars are also not available, covered by the clouds, what light do we see with? And the answer is, well, I will light a fire, I will light a candle, and I will see in the light of the candle. When that is not available, with what light will you see? I will see like a blind person sees, with different other organs. So, if that is also not available, then with what light do you see? Then it is said, well, you see the light of the mind as one sees in the dream. Very beautiful. Do we not see in the dream? Yes, we see in the dream, even though all lights are switched off, and even when if I need to put on specs for seeing otherwise, like Charlie was telling that he has not, he kept the specs somewhere and he is not finding because there is no, he doesn't have the specs to search for, you see. So, so where to, how to look for, because without that he cannot see, and unless he sees he cannot find, so he is searching all around. So he called, fortunately he could find the phone. So it is, so it is in the dream, no problem, you know, it is, you see in the dream, and with that light you see. Okay, if that is not available, then he says you see with the light of this self. And before the question that what if that light is not available, they say, Yajnavalkya says, that is self-effulgent. It is of the nature of light, nature of illumination. That light never comes and goes. It is ever there, the light of the self. So, that is what is meant here, that effulgence. It is in Kathopanishad and in Bhagavad Gita, all those places, therefore it is told that is the light, shining which everything else shines as reflection of it. It is that na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhati kutoyam agni tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. That light cannot be illumined by any other light. Shows that your intellect can never be able to comprehend that, because it cannot, just as you cannot light a matchstick to see if there is sun or not. There is that funny story. They were sleeping, it was winter time, and then mother told the child, just go out and see if the sun has risen or not. And the child comes and tells, well, give me a torch so that I will be able to see if the sun has risen or not. Otherwise, in darkness, how will I find if the sun is there or not? So it is, no light can illumine the self, because the light of the self illumines everything. Tameva bhantam, that shines and everything is illumined. So that is the being that is spoken of, effulgent being. And then when you see that, seeing means you see that as your true nature, that it is Purusha, that is the indwelling reality in everything. Then with that knowledge, all this appearance, this illusion, it just falls off, is destroyed, and thus no birth. You see that I am the ever present tense. There is no past, future, or this running present. It is I am beyond time. And that is the actual meaning of being in the moment. It is being in the moment. It has become a fashion these days to practice being in the moment. And it is taken so in a very funny manner. I had gone to this Buddhist, that Zen Buddhist center in Providence, and there the abbot there said, well, being in the moment is going beyond the sense of time. That is then being in the moment. It is not that, okay, so being in the moment, it is right now 8:21, and I will remain all the time in 8:21. That is not being in the moment. It is to see that this division, past, present, future, is an illusion. Then you are in the moment. That is a state of concentration. When the mind is concentrated, then the time stops. You can see that, when you are doing something you tremendously like, the time passes quickly. It is, yeah, you are glued to the TV, and the time, it is, oh, how much time did you spend? Do you realize? Oh, okay, 4 hours have elapsed. It is like a moment, So it is, that is the meaning of being in the moment. That it is, one realizes that it is all the same one conscious entity. So then one becomes free, escape from this cycle of birth and death, which means sufferings. If not, it is a difficult life. It is shown that again the immanence is explained in this next verse. Yasmat param na paramasti kinchit, yasmad aniyo na jayosti kaschit, vriksha iva stabdho divitishtati ek, tene dam purnam purushena sarvam. Tremendously sublime verse. And so such beautiful poetic way of expression, friends. And there is not higher than or different from him. Remember that H is in the him, that is capitalized to show that it is not like he or she, and not gender difference nor a particularized person either. It is not greater or more minute than him. Rooted in his own glory, he stands like a tree, one without second and immovable. By that being, the whole universe is filled. It is by that universe, the whole universe is filled. It does not move, but all movements happen on it. Illusion of movement, like when you see a very fast car race going on the movie. In the movie, you are seeing it, and you see the cars running very fast. What is that, Shrikant? Formula 1 or what it is? So you see that cars running with that great speed. How fast is the screen running? The screen is right there. It is not running at all. It is it is the pictures that come and go, and those pictures, they are pervaded by the screen. Those pictures have no existence apart from that. So the screen doesn't move, although the pictures move. It is, and therefore, and that screen is one without second. That oneness is different. Like you say, that is one car. The screen is not one like that car is one there. Out of those 100 participating cars, you say that one car. No, this screen is all those cars, and the track on which they are all being driven, and the drivers and all that, the cheering public, all that is the same one screen. And knowing that, what happens? That when you see that the whole universe is filled with that, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, It is very important to see this, comparing the life of Sri Ramakrishna, where these things come with such intense experiential evidence and explanation that we can feel it more clearly as something that is practical and experiential. So, that is why Swami Vivekananda mentions in one of his letters that I understand that it is impossible in this age of ours to properly grasp the content of any Upanishad or such scripture without uh, that flashing light of Sri Ramakrishna's great life on those. With the light of Sri Ramakrishna's life, these scriptural verses, they get illumined, they become meaningful, they become real. They are not now just the conceptual, intellectual ideas, but experiential. So we shall continue the study of this next Friday. We shall meditate for 30 seconds, and then in case if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Yes, please. So, since there are no questions, let us conclude. Oh, there is a question on the net. Okay, read it aloud. Ah, ah, ah. Yes, very often such question comes, can we have self-realization and still have a worldly goal? It will be difficult to call it goal. If you have self-realization, everything appears to be so illusory. It is it is like this, after waking up, can you keep on, thinking of some objective that, certain things that you were holding in the dream? You don't think of that. It was gone. That's it. Let me become free of all debt. That is my goal. Because in dream I had borrowed this $5,000 from Preet. Preet gave me $5,000 in the dream, and even in the dream he was generous. So he gave me $5,000 in the dream. When I wake up, then I don't think I have to pay him back $5,000. If I tell him this story, he will demand, but it is it is similarly, all the goals in the worldly life, they become just dreams. They are no longer any, there is no reality associated with any of them. It becomes illusory. It doesn't have any, the word goal is not there. You can think of it as a play, but not a goal to be achieved. It is with the realization, when we think of it, now we think that okay, it is good to have both these goals, to aspire for Nobel Prize as well as to realize God. What is the contradiction in that? I can have Nobel Prize and then many other prizes in the worldly life, and will have God realization also. It is, I will establish peace in the whole world and will win a Nobel Peace Prize. For that, of course, I will have to fight with others. That is a different matter. It is. But is it possible with the God realization? It is. All these things will disappear. It is. The Sri Ramakrishna mentions it is only because you have not got any God realization or any progress there you are talking like this. Once you start feeling that, all these things will become just meaningless. He gave many analogies that if you get to drink that very delicious kind of drink that made of the sugar candy, then you do not think of drinking some mixture of that not so tasty jaggery and all that. So all that goes back. It is, you don't think about it. It is because we do not have any idea of God realization. We are thinking, let me have that. God realization looks good, let me have that. But then I can divide it like that. I will do this 2 jobs. It is wonderful, many people do 2 jobs. It is that, yes, and many times it is said women are expert in doing multiple tasking, multitasking. So they do, I will have 2 jobs. One is realizing God, and the second is to work for getting Nobel Prize. So what is the contradiction? The contradiction is difficult to point out, but one will realize that contradiction when one really takes a few steps towards God realization. All this dream will fall off. That goal will not remain at all. It comes in a very funny way. I still remember before, I was thinking of taking to monastic life, and I approached a senior Swami in one ashrama there, one monastery, and asked, do you think I am capable of taking up this kind of life? He said, who am I to tell that? You think about it. But I will give you one criterion by which to judge. A very intelligent, very brilliant Swami. So he said, look, if you want just God realization and nothing else, that's it. Means that is, you have achieved what one would achieve through monastic life. That is the only thing I want. But if you do not look like having that alone as the ideal, you want to do many other things in life. You want to do good to the people. You want also to, study a lot. You also want many other types of enjoyments. Yes, I want to travel and see many different places in the world. All these things you have. Now the question is, in all these wants, where do you keep God realization? At what, what is the priority of that you want God? What is the priority of that? So it is like that, that you have to decide where the God realization comes in this hierarchy of needs. If God realization comes first, then for God realization you will be able to give up other things. You will be able to give up other things. When Paul goes to buy a shirt and sees the price tag, $300, then he thinks that no, $300 is too much for this shirt. So what does he do? $300 being more valuable than the shirt, he does not get the shirt. He keeps his $300. But when he finds that okay, that shirt is for $10, then he thinks that the shirt is more valuable than $10. So he readily gives up the $10 because shirt is more valuable than $10. So when I see God is more valuable than any other thing, then and then alone I will be able to give up every other thing for God. And as we saw, if you get God, you don't miss anything. You get everything by getting God. As Jesus mentions, that a great statement, a really Vedantic statement that we have been studying, that you first aspire for the kingdom of heaven, everything else will be added unto it. You will not miss anything. So this is how this and this, you will not get anything. If you want to get everything else first and then God, we will end up in getting neither God nor everything else. But if you get God, you get everything. All whatever other goals you may have in life, all will meet their ultimate satisfaction. So that is how the question can be answered. I don't know whether it was helpful or not, but that is how one can look at it. So we shall conclude with the closing prayers. You all know about the upcoming retreat. So this sign up is still open, although not at a concessional rate. That was over. Yesterday was the last day for that. So, but there is Naomi to help you get registered, or you can register online also. So let us conclude with the closing prayers. Om Shanti 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 Hare Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Oh, there are some fruits kept out here. So please help yourself. Take as many as you want to take. I mean, you can pick up the whole basket also, because there are many in the basement. Yeah.